Hello, everyone. I am Obsolete 2003, and I am here joined with Augie the Froggy.
Hello.
Yes, and this is something different. It's not sleepy time, game time. We are doing actually a little separate segment, a little discussion of movies. And right now, this is the first time we're doing this, so bear with us. And we're gonna kind of do like a deep dive, little discussion of the movie The Dark and the Wicked. And this movie, I guess it's what exclusively on Shudder right now, or I guess that's just where it's only found.
Yeah, and I think it came out 2020, so last year sometime.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right, because it did like a very brief like in theaters, but then like Shudder snatched it shortly after or something like that.
Yeah, I think Sutter released it in theaters. Like, I think Revenge might have been one of their first movies they did that with.
Oh wow, okay, but yes, it's The Dark and the Wicked, and I believe may have the info of like who directed it.
It was directed by Brian Bertino, not to be confused with Brian Boitano, the figure skater
Okay.
from South Park. Remember, what would Brian Boitano do? He'd make a plan and follow through. That's what Brian Boitano do from South Park, the movie.
I do not
Anyway,
remember that. The things you remember.
yeah, they sing that song. Anyway, this guy's I guess his first movie that he came out with. This is his fourth movie, but I guess his first movie he's most known for is The Strangers with Liv Tyler,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then after that he did some movie called Mockingbird, and some clown stupid movie. I mean, I didn't know it was the same guy at the time. I didn't know it was the same guy that did The Strangers, but he did after the Mockingbird. The movie that kind of caught my attention was The Monster, and then after that it was this movie, The Dark and the Wicked.
Okay, yes. And the monster, that's the one with the mother-daughter, right?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. But okay, cool, cool. That's a good little background. I remember seeing The Strangers. That was okay. I had my issues with that movie, but I don't think I saw Mockingbird. I enjoyed Monster or The Monster, but we're here for The Dark and the Wicked, and kind of like a brief overview, I guess, of the movie is what it's what an elderly couple. They're I guess they have a ranch, and what it seems like the father slash husband is in like some type of coma, right?
Yeah, he's just on his final days, pretty much, and his two children, an adult daughter and son, are come together to, I guess, be with the mom and I guess the family to be with the dad, I guess, in his final days.
Yes, and it's during that time where pretty much in the beginning, they guess the siblings try to be there for the mom, but then she's right off the bat just kind of tell them very just matter of factly, you shouldn't be here, you shouldn't have come. But then they're like, oh, we had to be here. We didn't want you to be kind of alone, kind of thing. And um, it seemed like you didn't see it just then, but it seemed like that had more meaning that the mother is trying to tell them because um, I guess it's kind of paranormal where some shit's going on at the house in regards to the what could be leading to the husband slash father in his comatose state, and then the mom slash wife, she's seeing shit happening around her, like the I guess the chair keeps moving next to her. She keeps hearing voices, um, and I guess it starts to take its toll on her.
Yeah, right off the bat, I guess it's more, I guess, an adult. I don't know if that's the right way. Adult horror movie. It's not going to be like this hack and slash or hardcore violent. It's like it deals with adult themes, I guess, like grown up themes, I should say, not like because it's about basically taking care of your parents when they're dying, pretty much. And like, so if you're expecting like, it's not one of those like slasher movies. It's pretty slow paced, and I guess it could be psychological. I guess that's what we can get into later, whether it's how it's perceived, whether it's going to be like the things that are happening are actually happening, or what is really happening and what's not really happening, or is it all really happening?
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, like the main characters are the family, the mother, the daughter, the father, and the son. And then there's a bunch of weird peripheral characters. There's a farmhand that helps the farm out on the farm. There's a nurse that helps take care of, and then there's a priest, a priest that shows up, and then there's also the granddaughter of the farmhand.
Yes.
And all these side characters are kind of weird, but they all come out throughout the thing. Yeah, and then also I think on their farm, I think it's just a goat farm that they have. Is the only animals I really saw on the farm, or that they really showed throughout the movie, was the goats. And the goats are almost kind of like a character too, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else we can get into before we started, I guess, going deeper into it, like just the general thing. I guess too. I guess it seemed like, I guess, a big element of the story that's not really a spoiler before we get into spoilers is that it seems like the family has been distant. Like they hadn't seen the parents in a long while, and the siblings haven't been together in a long time either, because it comes to find out that the brother didn't know that the sister had lost her job a long time ago, and the sister didn't um, like contact the brother when his kids had birth or something.
Okay, so yeah, so having little technical difficulties, but we're working through them. But um, we're talking about the family, and I was saying how the family is a bit very distant up until this pretty much imminent death of the father.
Yeah. Um, I guess that's a good chunk of it. And the movie starts off pretty normal, I guess, and then it starts getting weird. Maybe towards maybe about the middle of the movie, it starts getting kind of a little weird, and the things happening in the movie like start getting like, that's, I guess, the turning point where things start getting, well, what's real, what's not real? Is it all of it real? Is none of it real? Like, I guess once the priest character gets introduced, it starts getting weird.
Yeah, I would think even before then, because the mom gets a little choppy choppy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just kind of interesting. Like, I guess we're gonna get deeper into the movie. I know it's like our first time doing this, but like the movie starts off, like if you take a deep dive into this movie, like the first, I guess, scene is real. Like it's a lot of it is in there because it starts off where it basically, it's weird. It introduces the characters, the I guess the family. Well, more the mom. I guess it establishes the setting pretty well. It shows the mom. She's, I guess, a seamstress too, or something. She's kind of like knitting something. But before that, it shows the farm. Like it kind of establishes the setting. And like, I guess if you want to start getting into the symbolism, like pay attention if you do watch the movie, or if you rewatch the movie. Pay attention to the windmill, because the windmill is basically like a character in this like story, because there's a windmill on the farm that's constantly like moving. and like they make sure to show the windmill a lot of times, and it's not just because oh it's on the farm and so that there's a windmill here. Um, the movie starts off where the mom is kind of like sewing something, or it shows the windmill, it shows the farm, the emptiness. It's nighttime. The mom's sewing some type of I don't know garment. It doesn't really show, and then she hears like a wolf sound, and then the goats on their farm get like startled, and I don't know what would you call that. Like there's these she around where the goats are inside the barn is like this. She has like this rope with like little wind chime bottle little things tied around the perimeter. Like what would I don't know. I'm not a farmer. I wouldn't know. I guess the point of that is like I guess so in case any animal tries to go into the goats or something. Or
Yeah, it just seems like just a tripwire. Just if I guess the goats are know better to not leave the shelter, but then if something tries to go in, it's just a very low budget burglar alarm. If something trips it, that oh something's at the farm or in the barn.
okay, yeah, basically a tripwire. Basically, like you said, that's a good. But like but it's like also like a wind chime thing, and that starts rattling like the bottles and the different things she has on there start rattling, and the goats are getting kind of spooked, and the mom is also humming a song, and goddamn it if I was more ready. It was I think it's like some Jesus song, a friend, what a friend we have in Jesus, because this is gonna be a thing because she hums this song or a specific line on the song throughout the movie every once in a while. But that opening scene is real like telling because it's introducing all the characters in a way, or not all the characters because it's not introducing the siblings. But the windmill is blowing real rough. The goats are getting spooked. It's like signifying to the viewer this presence is coming. The goats are getting spooked. The mom is sensing something. She starts singing that Jesus song. And later on in the movie, like I'm not at the moment, we find out that the family are non-believers. None of them believe in God. So this is kind of weird that at this time, the mom is singing some Jesus, like, well, a friend we have in Jesus or something. The name of the song is like that, or a hymn or whatever it is. And then she goes to the kitchen. She leaves the barn area where she's doing her sewing. She goes to the kitchen and starts like chopping vegetables, which will come up later on. Like, and then yeah, like you mentioned earlier, then all of a sudden we hear a chair move, and like the music is suspenseful and stuff, and the chair moves, and then boom, cut to the title, "The Dark and the Wicked." And I mean, it's depending on how you are. Like people would probably, some people would be like, "Oh, like that's it, nothing happened." Like we thought something was going to happen, but in a way, it was signifying to the viewer that it's there. The presence is there. The bottles were rattling, and the mom was like sensing it. She started singing this hymn, and the chair moved, and you don't see like an actual presence move the chair. And I don't know if you caught on to it, but if you actually slow mo it at a certain part where the goats are inside the barn startled, you kind of see the face of the thing in there with the goats. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh shit, I did not.
Yeah, it's like a real split second. You see like that. I don't know. I guess we'll get to that later, but we see the face of something in there with the goats, and then it makes sure like the goat. Then the goats at some point in that intro, they kind of get calm after a while, and they're looking at the camera. I guess like at the audience, or in a way towards the barn. Like the thing is leaving their area and it's going towards the house.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I interpreted from it, and that's kind of like the opening scene, and then it cuts to the dark and the wicked. But like I was saying, like the windmill was, it's kind of interesting because like if you do watch it again, pay attention to every time the windmill's blowing.
Hmm.
And to me, it is like it's showing that the presence is there or the presence is near. And I guess that's pretty common for ghost movies, like where you see the wind move and it kind of symbolizes like the ghost or some type of thing. Fucking even in Tommy Boy, at the end of Tommy Boy, when he's stuck on the thing, the little lake, Dad, I'm kind of stuck out here. I can use a little help. And then you see the wind blow and it helps him out and he hits his head with the fucking thing.
Yeah.
But pay attention to the wind. It's like almost a character. The windmill is like a character in this movie. But I don't know if like I don't know if we caught on to some of that or if I'm making more of something that's not.
To be completely honest, I overlooked the windmill, and I have to rewatch it again in regards to even the face. Usually, I'm pretty good at picking up like those little subtle things that are in the background of um, hidden figures or whatnot. I'll say Easter eggs, but um, no, I completely missed that in regards to like the opening scene with the goats. I have to rewatch that when we're done recording this, so I can try and um, see if I can spot it.
Yeah, it's real brief, but you see it there.
Oh shit.
And and then I don't know if we're gonna get into spoilers or if we want to wait to do spoilers or what do you think right now?
Uh,
Or
because we can get into spoilers because for the most part, I guess it's the kind of brief overview of the movie. Then we'll deep dive into the spoilers. Yeah, it seems like the dad's in his final breath, and it's kind of broken down with like I'll say The Shining, where it's there's dated from Monday all the way to Saturday, I believe, and as the days progress from Monday through Saturday, as you said, like the normalcy from Monday, it just gets weirder, like more the intensity builds per day, and it starts to get more.
yeah, I guess that's a vague way of saying things. Like yeah, like non-spoiler things just start getting weird. And I guess the other main thing is that yeah, it's like towards the middle of the movie is when the priest shows up and the siblings are kind of surprised because like I said like the families are it's a family of non-believers and they're kind of thrown off by this priest being I guess he had been visiting the mom and spending time with the mom while the father has been sick and strange things are going on and the siblings kind of I guess figure that the priest might be contaminating the mom with his beliefs and scaring her with stuff. And
Yes.
he's like the like I guess the last significant. It's not many characters. It's like a small, low budget. It's a low budget horror movie,
Yes.
and yeah, just strange stuff just starts happening on this farm, and the family has to deal with it. The siblings have to deal with it.
And with that being said, yeah, uh, things I guess kind of take a turn for the worse. Progressively starts getting more worse, and I guess in short words, it's not a happy ending.
Yeah, it is not a happy ending.
So just a heads up, but I guess we'll kind of leave that as a sum up. But then if we want to get into the spoilers now, we can kind of go a little bit more of the discussion or the deeper of the dive of because we can't really talk too much of it without actually going on with the events that happened, the events that
Yeah,
occurred.
it'd be better if you don't want spoilers to just see it happen as it does. But yeah,
But that's kind of the very high level overview of the movie, which again, it's a horror movie, so you can expect. But as you mentioned earlier, it's not I would say it's not like a creature feature or a hack and slash gore fueled movie. It's a more psychological
yeah,
horror drama, maybe.
yeah. It's like it's the horror. Like it's a mix of like real life things with maybe supernatural stuff because obviously people deal with shit like this and pretty much everybody's gonna have to deal with their parents dying and what to do and stuff like that. That's kind of, to me, I always gravitate towards like horror movies that are like that than like the monsters. Like I like the monsters and shit, but they don't stick with me or they don't disturb me or they don't resonate with me much as the ones are like, I don't know, they're like more relatable, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. Because I've seen it before. When building up for what we're gonna do for this segment, I rewatched it again, and this movie it gave me chills. There's certain scenes, and again, it's not like the jump scares with the whole thing going on. There's a few of them, but it wasn't just chocked full of jump scares. But there were some scenes that I guess it was very subtle, but in that subtleness, it was enough to still give me chills.
And then like I know we're gonna like do a deep dive into this, but I guess it's what's interesting is like I get into like the directors and what other movies they've made and stuff like that. And like I mentioned earlier, when I know this is not about the monster, but the director Brian Bertino did The Monster. And I like that movie a lot. And if you watch that movie, and maybe we can cover that movie at some point, but when you watch that movie, you see that this guy, there's symbolism. Like it's not just like a fucking Adam Sandler movie where it's just fart jokes and shit. Like you can see that the director's trying to use like symbolism and like he's like actually trying to do something. It's not just okay, it's a cash grab or I just want to show tits and ass and blood and gore and okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then so that made me more excited about this movie because like okay, this guy is like at least he's trying. It's not like he's making masterpiece movies, but like he's trying, and that always like it always interests me to see okay, what's this guy gonna do next.
Hmm.
And like you said too, I wasn't a fan of The Strangers, and that other movie wasn't that great, The Mockingbird. But I would watch The Strangers again just because this guy seems like okay, he has more to him, like those last two movies, and hopefully he's on a better direction. So that's why I feel like it's necessary to give it more of a chance instead of just blowing it off as oh, it's just another boring ass movie that wasn't scary or whatever. But it's just there's stuff that's going on and the guy's trying and it's like I don't know, I always like shit like that where you can tell that the director's trying to use symbolism and themes and stuff like that
Yeah.
in his movies. So that's why I feel like it's okay. It's not like we're overly doing shit on this.
Hmm. Because, like you said, it's kind of has a more down to earth feel because it's not an alien invasion or I guess not kind of quite a monster movie, but it's yeah it is relatable with death and the family and just like the estrangedness and whatnot. It is more grounding than a typical horror film.
Yeah. And I guess we've established that we're gonna do spoilers now or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, we can go ahead and go into the spoilers and get kind of into the nitty gritty of the movie now.
So I guess the mom at some point is kind of like she's upset that the kids and you mentioned it earlier showed up to the farm, which is weird because you think the mom would want the children there, but she's kind of upset that they're there. And like early on, probably like I said, the movie spans like a week, maybe 2 days into the time that they're there. The mom is at the kitchen sink chopping carrots or onions or whatever the hell she's chopping, and like it's a horror movie. You see what's gonna come. She chops a piece of her finger off, and like, oh shit, she chops a piece of her finger off. But then, like, normally that would be it. Like, okay, we could see that coming. But then, not only that, she starts chopping that piece of her finger into like fucking. She just keeps chopping it and chopping and chopping it into little fucking hamburger meat, just little bits of like tiny little things. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is not just okay. She did one accidental cut and she screamed, and everybody came, and oh, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
So then things started getting weird there, and then she would go on that night to the barn and hang herself. So she commits suicide. She hangs herself, and that's when things start getting kind of. I guess things start getting kind of weird after that, wouldn't you say?
Yes, definitely. Because I
Or I guess
remember,
that would be the triggering.
yes, because that was Monday. Monday night is when, and again, I don't know if this all happened the same day when the kids showed up or not, but um, they went to go to, I guess, go to sleep or give her space because she couldn't sleep, and she chopped off like all but her thumb off, I guess. And but building up to that, I guess I think the chair squeaked again. Then you kind of hear like
Yeah,
voices, like only voices she could hear, I guess, and that's what kind of triggered her to cut her fingers off. And then it it pans on to Tuesday where the kids are looking for her, and that's where they found that she hung herself in the barn where the sheep were, and they're just in disbelief. And again, going to that they're not religious, so it's not like I guess like a whole oh you're going to hell or anything like that. But it was just completely out of the norm for her to do that. And I think it was a little bit later, but they're trying to piece it together because the the son was kept he was trying to figure out how she hung herself because there was I guess what she would have used as a stool to get up to hang herself, it was nowhere near her to push off of or jump from.
yeah, and this is in my head. Like I see things like obviously every person who watches the movie sees it like they interpret it their way. Like I'm not. I've always liked to lean towards the psychological things. So in my head, I'm trying to think, okay, is this going to be a psychological thing or the events actually occurring?
Mhm.
So to me, this is like the catalyst where things start getting weird because shortly after that, like the siblings are discussing like what the fuck happened to mom, what was going on, and stuff like that. And the nurse shows up, and I think the next day or that morning or whatever, and she starts talking to the siblings because she's obviously been there and they haven't been there. And she starts telling them that the mom has been kind of weird for a while. She didn't want to bring it up to them, but now she feels the need to. She's been kind of talking to people or whatever when she doesn't think she can hear. She hears her talking to things and shit like that. And they're all just kind of there. This is all news to them, and they're trying to figure out what's going to happen with the dad because the dad's not even. He's not even talking to dad. Yeah, like you said, it's kind of like in a comatose state. Oddly enough, maybe also I'm reaching here, but he's like has an oxygen thing to his nose, so like air, wind, I don't know. Maybe the shit is inside him because that's gonna be maybe one of my theories, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But anyway, the dad is like he's nothing. He's not even like saying anything or doing anything, and like the nurses are telling him this stuff and whatever, whatever, and the brother. And this is going to be a theme with him. He's thinking, okay, we got to get dad out of here. We got to figure it out. I guess he's kind of ready to just bail on this situation, figure out what to do with dad, and just get the fuck out of there. And the daughter, Louise is her name. I think the brother's name is Michael. Louise offers to stay in the room, which is weird. I don't know. We can talk about that. She offers to stay in the room with the dad to watch him. And I guess it seems weird, but it'll play into the themes, I guess, later on in the movie.
Mm.
So she decides to stay in there, the room with the dad, to sleep in the same bed next to the dad. And that night while they're leaving or whatever, the brother, when he's walking, he bumps into the bed and a journal pops out or a diary, I guess. The mom's diary falls out and he picks it up. And it's just her diary entry where we're gonna find out, I guess, more backstory. I guess it's like a device where we can find out like her thoughts since she's no longer living.
And yeah, because that's when they both sit outside and they're just kind of he only reads like the last page of the diary at that time, and like you said, that's kind of when she's I guess the sister's reading it out loud, and it's talking about her hearing voices or something to that effect. Where I guess that's kind of it's something that's been going on for a while, and I guess it's kind of I guess maybe what pushed to her breaking point.
Yeah, so that's kind of like I was getting at one of my, and I'm not saying it's like 100% like, but one of a possible thing with movies like this is okay, is this shit really happening or is it not happening? Like my theory is if you're like how I am in a lot of ways, it's like, okay, this shit's not happening. This is the point where the daughter, and it happens to the daughter first, where she starts kind of becoming infected with this maybe paranoia. Maybe it's not infected. Maybe it is actually happening. Maybe there are fucking ghosts and shit. But in this journal, the mom will refer to the thing as the devil. And like if you look at the poster of the movie, it's like the farmhouse with an upside down cross on it. So I'm assuming like we're gonna refer to this thing that she thinks isn't like this presence as the devil. She refers to it in the journal as the devil. The devil has got my husband. The husband's name is David. She's like, he can't breathe anymore. The devil is here. He's inside David. He's whatever, whatever.
Yeah,
So from here on out, I'm just gonna refer to it as the devil because that's how the mom referred to it as. So that thing at the beginning, I mean, it doesn't look like the devil. They never really show it like where you see fucking horns or it's like on the screen for a long period of time.
yeah,
But I'm just gonna start from here on out referring to it as the devil because that's how the mom referred to it. But in my head, an impossible interpretation is none of this shit's real because this is when it gets to the daughter first. She decides to take care of the dad and stay in the bed, and she's gonna be seeing visions before the brother starts seeing visions, and the journal shit's gonna infect her before it starts infecting him because he kind of doesn't want anything to do. He doesn't want her to keep reading it out loud. He's kind of like he wants to get the fuck out of there.
yeah.
So yeah, what do you think about the daughter? Like, did you think that was weird, or is it me just deciding to sleep in the same bed to watch the dad while he slept, or I don't know. I was just
Yeah, I thought that was weird because I remember she was talking to the caretaker, like, show me what needs to be done, or like how to, like, what are your procedures to take care of him? And I was like, okay, that seems normal, just like whatever. Um, but then when they showed, like, yeah, she was sleeping next to him, I thought that was odd. I, and I figured there should have to have her own room or whatnot. But then to an extent, I can understand not wanting to leave him alone, or even just sitting in like in a chair or a couch next to the bed. But I mean, she was fully clothed and all that, so it doesn't get anything weird like that. But the fact that yeah, she was sleeping in the bed, it did seem very odd to me.
but yeah, I guess that's tapping into. I mean, I guess it would tap into the theme because I guess a big theme in this and like you know how like they do how could you defeat this thing is the nurse will eventually say she'll talk to the brother that she sees a lot of death, or he asks her, are you like you see like your job must suck? You sees people at their worst, right? When they're dying and they're unhealthy and all this. And she goes, yeah, but I also see a lot of love. And she tells the brother that this house has love, and that I guess the worst thing that could happen is you dying alone and there's no love around you. So I guess like it's not just random or weird that the daughter's there, but I guess it's like the director's way of maybe she's picking up on this thing that she needs to be near the dad because he can't die alone. So but I mean, none of this is verbally said, but or the daughter doesn't say it either.
Yeah,
And I guess like one of my things here is like a big theme of this is guilt, like the guilt of obligation is like almost one of the themes in this, and that's like fucking hardcore relatable to me because it's like what do you do? Like people, like a lot of people are in that situation where it's like fuck their parent or grandparent or somebody they love is dying, and they kind of gotta be there, and it sucks. It sucks to see that person like that, and it sucks to have to be there, to have to just wait it out. And like, you want to leave, you don't want to be there, and you don't want to suffer through this, but then it's just like guilt that sucks that you're thinking those thoughts. And it's like guilt is a big theme in this movie. The fact that these siblings feel guilty that they, when the daughters will say that in like arguments throughout the movie, like, we should have fucking called her, we should have talked to her more. And it's like, I guess they're trying to make up for it, or maybe she's overly trying to make up for it by sleeping in the bed with the dad. Like, I'm gonna be so make up for the fact that I fucked things up and didn't stay in contact with him the way I should have been, that I'm literally gonna lay next to him. So that could play into that theme too. But yeah, like, pay attention to, like, it's just to me, that's tough, because that's like, I mean, that's real shit. Like, people
Yeah.
feel that way all the time. And like I said, like, it gets weird because, yeah, like, to me, I'd like to think of a lot of this maybe not be real, but I would say the guilt is infecting the daughter. It might not be the devil, but it could be guilt that's infecting her, to where she kind of starts seeing visions, like the mom was likely seeing visions, or we don't see the mom's visions, but she writes about them, and she'll read her visions in the from the diary. And it's like a weird scene happens shortly after that. The daughter is like in the shower, and she's showering, and somebody opens the door or whatever. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm almost out, whatever. Just give me a few more minutes." And she moves the curtain, and it's the fucking dad there, like, staring at her, and like his head does this weird fucking shake, like Jacob's ladder shake head weird thing.
Yeah.
And she's freaked out, and she crouches down, covers herself up, and she starts screaming for the brother, and the dad is there. And a weird thing is, the dad's there, his eyes are like all white, and he's pissing himself. Like, that was just kind of like a weird thing. Like, what did you make of that? Like, I have my thoughts on it. Did you kind of think anything of that?
I I did see that. Yeah, the where he was peeing on himself. I couldn't really it stood out to me, but I couldn't really like make sense of why that scene would have been there because I know like you said she freaks out. She's screaming really loud. Her brother comes to check in on her. He's kind of has this concerned look on his face cuz like what the hell are you doing screaming in the shower and obviously the dad's he's still in his comatose state in the bed, fully clothed. He that did not really happen. But I'm curious about your thoughts in regards to that whole shower scene.
Yeah, like, kind of like you're picking up on it, like, because the brother shows up there, like, obviously he hears his sister screaming and whatever, and he gets there seconds later, and the dad's not like the dad just jumped into the bed and pretended to be comatose. And so, like, it's, I guess in my head, it's triggering to the audience that, okay, that shit didn't really happen. The daughter believes it happened and she saw it, but to me it's like, okay, the daughter's now, she's kind of becoming like the mom is starting to infect her. It's like she's starting to see shit that's not really happening, because the brother got there, and it's not like he pushed the dad out the way. And my take on the fact that it was just weird that the dad was pissing himself, but it just kind of digs it a little deeper, it makes it a little harder, like that, I guess, the ugliness of dying, or like, there's not much dignity in death. So it just might be more adding to that guilt, like the daughter seeing the dad just like that, like feeble, and not only feeble, he's pissing himself, and it just beating in her head, like, oh, you're not taking care of him. This is like, you didn't take care of him. This is him. Look at me, like, I'm pissing myself, and you can't even, like, you guys didn't even, like, you weren't around, and I'm nothing. I'm pretty much this vegetable now.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because the siblings gravitate towards the opposite gender. Like it seems like the daughter is more like she feels the need to take care of the father. And before the mother killed herself, the son was more it seemed more worried about the mom. And then shortly after, like after I'm trying to remember in my head, damn it, I was trying to make it what triggered the son to start because then eventually the son will start seeing visions and his visions are of the mother. So it's like they took, and it would make sense because probably like a son would probably would like, I mean, obviously you would want to take care of both parents, but it'd probably feel more worse. It'd be more guilty or more inclined to want to take care of the mom or feel like it's since it's like he's a man and the mom's a woman that she needs to be taken care of. So it's weird because the son sees visions of the mom, he doesn't see visions of the dad, and the sister sees the visions of the dad and not of the mom. I don't know. And at that point too, it signifies to me that the narrative of this movie can't be completely like accepted or it can't be completely it could be questioned, I guess, because she's starting to see visions and then shortly after the son's going to start seeing visions of the mom. And if that shit's not real, like because the mom might be crazy too and now they're all starting to see these visions, so then in my head, because in my real life I don't believe in ghosts and shit, so in my head I'm seeing this as like, okay, maybe the narrative is not like, don't completely accept it completely. In my head I'm not accepting it as, okay, this is exactly what's really happening. I don't know if you are the same way or you felt like all this is what's happening.
I I have a feeling that I guess it was happening, but then I guess there is something I guess of a supernatural element to the mix. I can see where you're saying where the seed was planted with the diary, where the daughter was, I would say, weak-minded, but it was enough to trigger her in this situation to where it left her open to vulnerability. But I do think that there was th- I guess this supernatural, as you mentioned, the devil at work, where um, at least that's how I feel, that there was something that was actually happening to this family, to the father, and this ripple effect to now the kids slowly starting to get impacted by it. Because,
Mm.
uh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Because even outside of that, we'll still get to it at some point, but it even had a ripple effect on the farmhand.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Some of this shit, like obviously, I'm not saying I know the answers to everything or whatever. I'm just telling you shit that it made me think. But I can't explain that because the thing, Charlie was his name. That was completely bonkers to me. That was just weird. Like because the farmhand Charlie ends up seeing a vision of it was the daughter, right? Of
Yes.
Louise. Like it's just like I said, after the first part that was kind of straightforward, I mean weird shit was happening, like the mom killing herself. But towards like the middle, everything starts to me get a little bit more abstract where you have to question, is this really happening or not? Because yeah, pretty much all the main characters start seeing vision. And not even Charlie wasn't the main character. But at some point he sees a vision of Louise, the sister, all sliced up and telling him, "You did this to me" or something, which is weird because they didn't give really any backstory to that. So I don't know what that was about.
Because, yeah, she had scissors, and what he was seeing, she had scissors and she was slicing up her face, she was stabbing her arms, her stomach, I think. And yeah, all the while telling that to him. And the other thing that was I guess, what symbolism was like, which again, we're kind of jumping around, but there's references to, I guess, it was wolves, right?
Yeah.
there's reference to the wolves. I guess the wolves being the devil, and because right before he saw the vision of Luis, it sounded like there was maybe more than one wolf howling outside his camper, his trailer.
Yeah, I wrote that down. This is because the priest is what says that, and again, it might just be out of convenience for my interpretation, but I'm not sure if the priest was actually a real thing because at this point, when the priest shows up, it's like maybe the brother and the sister are both fucking just since they're both on that thing, they're both seeing shit that's not really there or it's paranormal. Like I'm really hesitant to go towards paranormal, even though it probably most likely than not is paranormal shit going on. But if you want a theory that it's not, then my theory would be that they're just fucking losing it at this point because their fucking mom killed herself and they believe the mom's journal is all crazy. But when they see the priest at their house, they invite him in and they talk to him. He says something about a wolf. This is he says okay. He says you think that a wolf cares if you believe he's a wolf. I guess kind of like you said, referring to it, like you think the devil cares if you believe he exists. He goes, not if he finds you alone in the woods. So basically, yeah, the wolf kind of symbolizes the devil, and I guess it would make sense because the wolf would be the predator to the goats. And to me, the goats are kind of just like the innocents, the people. It's like innocent people that at any moment in time, and this is kind of the theme in here, can get be attacked by evil or wickedness. Like we're all goats, I guess, and there's all like if it in terms of if there's this ultimate devil, evil ghost thing that wants to get us, it's gonna get us, and that's kind of what the nurse will eventually say later on. Like the wicked doesn't care. Like the wicked,
Yeah, whether you're a non-believer or not, the wicked it's gonna pick whoever.
yeah. And that's kind of like they have this discussion with the priest about it, and like that's when the son gets mad. Like my mom didn't used to believe in all this shit, and you're the one. Like this doesn't happen overnight. You're the one that's kind of infected him, and that's when he gives that speech about I didn't infect her. Whatever it is, it is. Like the wolf is a wolf. Basically, there's evil out there, whether you believe it is, or the devil's out there, or whatever you want to call it. It's out there. It exists. So I guess that's kind of what it is. So like whether you believe it's the devil or you like the wolf is real. If you believe the devil's real or not doesn't matter. Like there's evil, there's predators, there's things that can just come at any moment and disrupt your whole fucking life.
Yeah,
And I guess the purpose of the nurse, which is kind of weird. Like some of this shit, I'm not saying that this director is fucking Stanley Kubrick where everything is masterfully done and everything has symbolism and every fucking thing is perfect. But I guess the purpose of the nurse, because I struggle with some of these characters, like the function of the nurse, I guess, is to give us some, I guess, kind of like the thing she tells the son that about the love, like this house has love, and the worst thing is to die alone.
yeah,
She says shit like that because that feeds into the theme. So like I guess it's about sticking together, I guess is part of her thing that she's trying to convey to them and maybe the director's trying to convey to the audience. That sticking together would be the best thing in moments like this. And the son Michael has a family that he's kind of leaving. The daughter doesn't. The son's spent this whole week away from his wife and daughters, and he wants to get the fuck away from whatever weirdness is going on here, and he wants to go back home. So that's kind of going on throughout the movie too.
yeah. Because he not it doesn't happen often, but he talks to his wife at the very beginning. He says he doesn't know that he'll probably be there for about a week, and then um, he gets to a pushing point with his own supernatural thing, where call it supernatural or if it did or not happen, where he was in the barn checking on the goats, and that's when he had a very active moment with his mom. Is his fucking the spirit. But at this point, the mom's long dead. She's already dead, but this I'll say this entity as his mom, naked mom, which again she tripped and broke the tripwire and came after him and started whispering something to him, which it almost led to him slicing his own throat open with his pocket knife. And uh,
Yeah, and
go ahead.
that's another thing too. Like that was the second vision. The first time he saw the mom was outside his window when the first vision started. He saw his mom outside. She was had a nightgown on,
Yeah,
and he sees her outside the window, and she kind of floats in the air a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
And it's kind of okay. That's kind of like the end of it, but it's like it's planting the seed that okay, now he's seeing shit. And then that time you're referring to, she's naked, and maybe it's playing into that shit too, like the way the daughter saw the father pissing himself. It's because she's there, all her veins and all saggy, and everything is just kind of like it's not like old age and dying is not beautiful. Like it's like an ugly thing, and it's like in your face, and that's probably the shit that like the way it affected the daughter, it affected him.
mm,
And I guess another way to interpret it too is what the ghost and shit is she breaks the trip line. And maybe the goat, another function of the goats is they get startled by at the beginning when I told you if you slow down you see the devil character there.
yeah,
They get startled and like it would be an argument to say that this shit is really happening because the goats are indicators. The goats are getting startled because the actual devil is there. The trip line breaks because she's actually going through it, and the goats might be moving around at that time too. Like the goats might be like the indicator or the clue to the audience that like, despite my belief is like this shit's really happening. The goats are seeing it or whatever. It's like they're moving around. They're fucking the ghost is real. They see the shit too.
yeah. Because even whether it's happening or if it is or is not happening, right before this scene that we're talking about, where the son freaks out seeing his mom in the barn, um, almost was all but five goats are just slaughtered in an open field.
Yeah, and then eventually all the goats will be killed. Like all the goats will end up being killed by this. They never discuss or they never figure out what it is. And they said it can't be a wolf. A wolf wouldn't do this. But yeah, for some strange reason, this all the goats get slaughtered.
Yeah, we're not talking like five or ten. It's a good double digits amount of goats in a pretty good decent sized open field that were just slaughtered.
Yeah, and again, that could just be like to me, like the goats just represent people innocence, like they're just there. Or it could also show like because the brother and sister like I guess it would happen true to life. They start overcompensating and trying to take care of the farm a little bit while the mom kills herself and the dad is just there. But like it's like too little, too late. Like they're trying to take care of the farm, feed the goats and shit. But it's like overcompensating for the fact that they haven't been there. And then the fact that the goats die is showing like maybe it's a sign like you can't pretend to fix the shit that you fucking neglected. You can't neglect like your parents and stuff for all this time and then pretend you can put it fix it and make it all nice and take care of things for a little bit and make up for all the time he didn't. So the fact that the goats are dying is kind of like a maybe a symbolism of that. Like, hey, you didn't put in the time with the folks, so it's like shit's gonna go to shit.
Yeah,
And another interesting thing, I know again, like I said, we're jumping around. Another interesting thought that I had because the mom in one of her journals, a couple of times says something about spiders, spiders like tears or like tears or something. She says something about spiders, and then she says, "I'm already dead" or whatever. She says something to the lines that she's already dead, and then it makes me think, well, is this some type of purgatory? This farm could have like I know it's like it's stretching, but I might as well throw shit out there since we're talking about everything. What if like a possible other theory is this is just some purgatory where they're all fucking or another world where they're all fucking dying and they're not knowing or they're all dead and they don't know it because the mom says she's dead. She's already dead. I mean, she could be speaking metaphorically, but she says something along those lines that I'm dead already or whatever. Maybe she's just saying that because she knows the devil's there too as well. That could be what she means that the devil's already there. So, but she says something like that. It made me think, well, that would explain the goats because yeah, then what the fuck else in my head? I guess the devil killed the goats or whatever. But then if it's real life and ghosts don't exist, then that can't happen. Oh, it could only happen if it's like some fucking metaphor or if it's like some nether thing or in between world or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know because with that they did go to was it the mortuary because they I guess they talked to the to look at the mother's body, I don't know if to confirm her death or just to get her possessions, but I don't think it was quite purgatory because again it affected the farmhand in that weird way. Um, that was the other thing too. One scene when they're doing random stuff on the farm, the sister wants to stop at one little area and look like it was like a it wasn't like necessarily a graveyard, but it looked like there was a little plot there. And do you recall what that was or what she stopped to look at?
Yeah, I guess it just turns out that the mom was they were burying goats. I guess like some of her favorite goats that had died.
Okay.
She was and it just like that was also like a triggering point too. It's just like to add on to the theme of guilt. Like it just made it triggered the daughter and the son to feel like shit because it's like, man, our parents are so fucking lonely that they're burying random goats. Or our mom is so fucking lonely she's burying goats because then she tells the brother, we should have called more or some shit like that. And he goes, yeah, but we didn't. I
Yeah.
think it was just to emphasize the loneliness of the mom to where they're burying just there's this whole area where they're burying goats. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think shit here is just filler. Like, I don't. I mean, there might be some shit that's filler, but like little scenes like that have significance. Like things. It's not just like whatever the guy's just trying to waste time. The Brian Bertino or whatever is just
Yeah.
trying to
To stretch the
fill an hour and a half.
yeah.
Yeah, and it adds to that. Like, yeah, like the guilt that they're feeling, and it's like, god damn it.
Because that was the other thing too. Right after the mom killed herself, that following day, they're kind of like looking in one a different area of the barn. It wasn't with the animals, but it was like where they saw like all the stuff she was knitting, all like all her craftsmanship from yeah sewing, knitting, what have you. And the one thing like, obviously was under like a veil. They lifted up and it looked like it was maybe like a wedding dress she was making for the daughter that never got used.
Yeah, I think about shit like that. I mean, that's real life. That's true to life. Like if, and it's just kind of yeah, it's just sad in a way because it's like shit that didn't happen, but the mom made that time. She spent the time to make a wedding dress that was never gonna get used. And it's just a quick little shot. The daughter sees her name on the thing, like the mom made it for her, and that's it. But it just shows like yeah, like the sadness of reality, the expectations and the expectations not met or the things not
Yeah. It
lived up to.
it was such a brief scene. It was not even like 5 seconds, but yeah, it just left such a heavy impact.
And that's like another thing too, because like there's original music in this thing, so like this has to be like like this stuff has to mean something to the director. Where if like, and a good clue, like a cue, I guess, for movies like this is if the guy that wrote the movie also directed the movie, because if that's the case, then it's like he's doing his best to make it the way he envisioned it, you know?
Yeah.
So this movie was written and directed by Brian Bertino. So like he wrote it. It's not like he's somebody else wrote it and he's trying to do his best to adapt it or make it whatever somebody else's vision. And there's original music in here, so maybe there's some type of psychological thing because there's you can draw parallels to this and The Stranger. I mean, it's been years since I've seen The Strangers, but The Strangers is like real people that come and are the
The monster.
protagonists, I guess. Yeah, the monsters. And this is like the unwelcoming ghost or the demons that are tangible or not tangible or psychological or not psychological or real or not real, but coming to visit you. And it's kind of like the strangers in a way, but with potentially demons or not demons, the psychological guilt that you feel when your parents are fucking dying and you're not haven't spent the time before while they were still healthy with them. So it's just still like that same kind of like just unwelcomed visitors.
Yeah.
So maybe that guy has some type of psychological thing with that.
And
But there's a lot of weird shit that happens in here that I don't know probably means something. But yeah, like I can't say I know what everything means or whatever.
mm, because the other one that I was trying to make sense of was when the alleged was a priest or father, he leaves his phone number and which the daughter calls to I guess verify him or whatever, but then it turns out to be a number to a different priest, like somewhere like completely out of state in Chicago.
That yeah, that's probably the biggest thing where I'm like clueless on. Like I don't know if it's some shining thing where it's just it could go into the purgatory thing, but like you made up a good point where the coroner was real or so like that kind of I don't know if it's a purgatory thing or some type of shining thing where all this shit's repeated because it is weird because yeah, she calls the same priest that they had dinner with or whatever, and he's saying he's never been there, he's never met these people. And then she asked him, "Well, do you have a like whatever, whatever, my mom, whatever, whatever?" And it turns out the mom was his daughter, but it was also the same name as Louise or whatever, Louise. It was like some weird thing where,
Yeah,
yeah, and like I completely it went over my head. I was gonna hopefully, yeah, maybe you knew more what that was, but yeah, like she calls the priest, and yeah, obviously it's the horror thing. Oh, I've never been there. I don't know. I've never met you
yeah.
guys,
How'd you get my
and
number?
yeah, and it was so it's like one of those, well, how'd that happen then? Like how did she if it wasn't real, it's like how did she get the number then? Yeah. And if it was real, then how come this guy doesn't remember him? And obviously he's for real. He's not bullshitting. He's not pretending he doesn't know them and just being like an asshole.
Yeah.
And but then the weird thing is like she goes, my mom is whatever the hell her mom's name is, and he was like, my daughter, and he says something like insinuating that that person was his daughter, but the daughter's name was Louise, which was the girl that the sister. And he was like, but she killed herself. She hung herself. So it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, like what? Like, and then I don't know, are the mom and the daughter the same person, and the father and the son the same person? It's like some weird thing going on because the daughter's sleeping in the bed where the mom would be sleeping, but the preacher said that that was his daughter. So is the father, is the priest also the dad, father? I don't know. It's just yeah, that part I didn't like. I don't know what the hell. I would just chalk that up to none of this shit is real. That they're seeing visions that they never saw the priest. That conversation never really took place because they're fucking crazy, even though they think they're crazy. So my easy solution to that is none of that actually happened.
Hmm.
But I don't know. But I don't believe that either myself. I'm just saying. But yeah, that confused the hell out of me. And then what's weird later on is Charlie's daughter or granddaughter ends up showing up, which is just weird too. So I don't know. She just shows up for a scene.
Yeah, but then did that really happen though?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I would say no.
For that one, I too would say no because at this point, Charlie killed himself from that vision we talked about earlier. He was in his trailer. He had a double barrel shotgun, and he was you hear all the howling and this. I would say that the devil, um, disguised as Luis, made him basically kill himself for whatever reason of guilt or whatever. Um, and so his granddaughter swings by the house. At this point, it's towards the end of the movie. Luis is freaking out because her brother just up and left in the middle of the night. He got to the point where he was scared shitless. He decided he had to leave and go be with his family. And Charlie's granddaughter comes like, oh, he may not remember me, but uh, um, I'm Charlie's granddaughter. I just want to let you know that he's dead because at this point he hadn't been able to reach Charlie for 2 days. So they're like, what the hell's going on here? And this kind of closed that mystery, I guess, for her, and also just made it that much more what the fuck, because like now the farmhand's dead
Yeah,
after your mom just hung herself, and then the granddaughter starts going to this creepy voice saying like, "Do you smell him?" And it's like he's almost here or something like that.
he's rotting. He's rotting.
Yeah. So um yeah,
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure there's more into that.
yeah, because at first I thought she was referring to the devil, but then when she starts saying he's rotting, it's like, okay, so it's making more sense into the father because in I think in the journal, that's when it said that the devil is after the father's soul.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I don't believe that actually she was actually there, but maybe. But at this point, it doesn't really matter, and that's a big thing too. Not to jump around too much, but another big thing that happens is, like you said, the brother just up and leaves without telling Louise or anything. Shortly after, like you said, he was in the barn. He sees the mom come after him. He attempts to slit his throat, or doesn't attempt, but he almost slits his throat and decides not to. And then he just comes in. The daughter sees him come in. The sister sees him come in. And they don't say anything. It was his chance to talk to her about what the fuck just happened. Well, I almost killed myself. I just saw mom come at me. And that's another thing, I guess, another theme is lack of communication between this family, or lack of just, I don't know, confiding in each other.
Yeah,
He just kind of walks to his room, and the daughter wakes up the next morning. He's fucking gone. He left, and that kind of breaks the. That's also a question I was going to ask you later. Is like that kind of breaks what the nurse said, because she says that the love will, like, they need to stick together or whatever. And he left, he bailed. But I mean, it's not completely unjustified. I mean, he has his fucking family, he has two kids and a wife, and weird shit's going on. But I mean, I guess he shouldn't have just fucking left. He could have told the daughter. But then he wanted to avoid the guilt. That's also maybe his main. That's his downfall, maybe, because he wanted to avoid that uncomfortable guilt that he was going to feel when the daughter said, "Why are you leaving? You need to stay here. Or I'm going to stay here."
yeah, he saved himself that anguish because in that phone call he says, well, you would have stayed anyways. So like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and then there's a weird thing with phones too. I think phones just represent lack of communication or weird things going. Phones come out here and there. The phone ringing.
yeah, because yeah, like you said, the nurse how she mentioned like you gotta stick together, and at the moment he left, that's when everything just fell apart because um that's pretty much his demise once he got home.
Yeah, I guess I might as well get to it, which was kind of weird too, because so basically he decides to leave and just up and leave and not tell the daughter. And like you said, he said because he knew she would tell him she was gonna stay. So when he gets home, he sees his final vision, which we don't know it's a vision, but when he gets home, he sees that his wife had killed the two daughters, or the two daughters are dead, and the wife killed herself. And upon seeing this, he's his breaking point. He fucking freaks out, and he was gone when all this happened. And he fucking slits his throat, and then seconds later, the mom and the daughters walk in, and it just turned out it was a vision. They didn't really kill themselves.
Yeah.
So, but I think that was his punishment for bailing. Like he didn't deal with the situation. He didn't deal with the, like you said, the anguish or the potential. Like he's returning to his old self. He's avoiding the thing.
I I think not necessarily punishment. I guess it kind of was, but he was alone. He was that was his vulnerability. The devil sought him out, didn't harm the his wife or daughters for whatever reason. It was just targeting this family specifically, but he was home alone, and somehow it yeah it tricked him with that vision, because it wasn't until after he slit his throat when he looks in the kitchen where he saw his dead family that they weren't there. And then yeah, seconds later, that's when his family comes home from doing whatever it is that they were doing, and that's when I see him dead or dying on the floor. But
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, I guess that was his thing because he fucked himself because he was alone, like you said. And that's like, if there's gonna be a way, like how they say, oh, how do you beat this monster or whatever, water or whatever the fuck, this or that. I guess maybe they hinted that sticking together or not, like separating, would be the way to defeat this evil, possibly, if there was a way to do it. Because him bailing made him alone, and then now it left the daughter alone with the father. And at the same time, for some fucking crazy reason, the devil, whatever the fuck, the nurse starts flipping out and she kills herself, but not before grabbing Louise and slamming her head against the wall to where she passes out. But the nurse freaks out and
y-
has one of these religious things.
yes, but the nurse flips out only when the link was broken between her brother and the sister. Not that she was kind of
Yeah,
eavesdropping on the phone call, because the daughter was frantic in the other room, but she was kind of basically yelling on the phone. But um, it was very loud, very obvious that the brother left. So whatever bond that was keeping the family safe on the farm was severed. And yeah, which this was my interpretation of what triggered the nurse to flip out, because I guess she's yelling out loud that you don't hear the voices, and then she's
yeah. Why don't you hear me or some shit like, yeah, I guess why don't you listen? Essentially,
yeah.
yeah, I like that. I would agree with that. The thing is broken, and the nurse or what?
Because yeah, she I guess is Catholic, because she lit look like a Catholic candle next to
Yeah,
the
the Virgin
father's.
Mary. Yeah,
Yeah, so she knows pretty much shit's getting it's getting to a breaking point. So in her small attempt to try and keep evil at bay, she lights the candle. Doesn't do any like Bible verses or anything, at least not before she starts gouging her eyes out. But um, yeah, it just wasn't enough.
yeah. And then, so then after she does that, it's completely just the daughter and the father. And this is pretty much like the end of the movie, like the last few minutes, the moments of the movie. And then, like you said, the candle's lit. And it gets kind of weird still. It's not completely like it's still, it's weird up until the very last ending. Like the daughter is like she wakes up because I guess she got knocked out when the nurse hit her in the head, and she walks out. She tries to leave, but then she hears the dad coughing or something like that, and then she can't leave. She goes back into the house. Right? Am I remembering this correctly?
You are correct. She was at the point of the fuck it. Like I'm just gonna run away and I'm just gonna sorry dad. I'm just gonna do my own thing. But then yes, in his coughing fit, that's what draws her back into the house.
And then once the candle goes out, the candle that the nurse had lit earlier, and then obviously some time passed, she was knocked out for I guess a couple hours or whatever. The candle's about burned out, and it's nighttime. The candle goes out, but at the same time, she also, like I said, the last weird part, she starts hearing her brother, who had already at this point in time killed himself, calling for her. Right?
Yes, he's like, help me.
Yeah, so I don't know. Again, it's like that purgatory thing, or maybe just I don't. Well, obviously, I don't think it's a purgatory thing, but I just think it's weird. Like, how is she able to hear him? Like, I know it's a fucking movie, suspension of disbelief, but then I'm always like, oh, trying to find the way where this is not like it has to be real life, but obviously it's not. It's fucking a movie. But yeah, she hears him, and she looks towards the door. I guess the doorway. The candle goes out, and then what happens?
Um, well, I think that part with the brother, I think it was the devil fucking with her because at that point the brother's dead. He slit his throat. So that was his way of telling her it's like I got him because at first the voice sounded natural. It was like help me, and she was getting ready to go outside, but then the voice started getting manipulated. It started to sound like I don't know, like a creepy voice. So his voice is twisted
Yeah,
basically. So that's when she stopped in her tracks basically. So to me, that was the devil saying like I got him, like he's dead now. And uh, with the candle going out, I think at the doorway you hear wind, maybe footsteps, and you can hear the mom humming or singing that same little Bible song.
yeah. The hymn, the "We Have a Friend in Jesus" thing or whatever.
Yes. And to me, it seemed like it was being kept at bay because she was very close to her father at that point. She was like either next to him, in front of him, by the bed, and uh, I think they're kind of having a bond there. Like it was what was keeping evil at bay. But then pretty much right at that point, he's having his last breath, and the at that point the father basically dies.
Well,
Cause
he reaches out and grabs Louise, right? You
was it
remember
him
that or
though?
no? No, it wasn't him. It was the devil.
Yes. But to circle back before that, the brother and sister did try to get him out. They called the doctor to like, we need to get him out of
Yeah,
here. Shit's getting weird. But then the doctor said he's basically gonna die. It's like we can't move him. We just gotta ride it out, let him die, and then you can figure out what to do afterwards.
yeah. So like movie wise, there's no quick fix for their fate is set. There's no quick fix. They're easy out on this.
Yes. So, um, but yes, to your point, the what I think happened was as the father was wheezing, he died, and since he died, it just became her. She was last man standing, at which
Yeah,
point left her vulnerable to the devil to get her.
yeah. So do you think if the brother would have stayed, that any of this would have happened?
Eventually. Because I think that's what happened to their mom. Just for whatever reason they got picked. Just the luck of the draw, and the it just kept poking, and to whatever it caused the mother to kill herself. I think had they stayed, they would have gone insane, or they would have just eventually just killed themselves one way or the other.
But the mother had an out. She kind of had a, I guess, possibly a loophole because that hymn she was singing was like that fucking Toy Story song, "You Have a Friend in Me," but it's this one was "You Have a Friend in Jesus," and it plays into the theme. The mom had to start to believe in this song about having a friend in Jesus, or this hymn about having a friend in Jesus, means she wasn't alone when she killed herself. Jesus was there, or in her hymn, or at least in her head. And that's maybe what she was trying to clue into the daughter. Was like that's what that one line, because she kept repeating that same line on that hymn about the friend in Jesus or whatever.
Hmm.
Like if Jesus, if you had Jesus, I don't know how religious this Brian Bertano is or Brian Bertino, but I don't know if it's a pro or just the characters in this thing. But I think that's what the mom's point in that song was, or that hymn was, just she had Jesus with her when all this shit started happening. So it didn't take her the same way, or she was, maybe she was able to get a loophole out of it. Although I mean, she fucking killed herself, but
Yeah,
I don't know. But I think that was the point of that line, or that hymn about having a friend in Jesus. So like, yeah, like you said, eventually this shit would have happened. Like obviously the dad wasn't gonna make a miraculous recovery, but maybe had the siblings rode his death out together, it would have been different.
maybe because in the end, I guess it was they were saying it wanted his soul, maybe so maybe it would have stopped once he died. Maybe it's like he was just trying to drive that obviously that wedge to get everyone away from him so he can just have the soul because the mom killed herself. Or at least it looked like it killed her. She killed herself. I'm not sure that if it was that supernatural thing where the devil physically killed her or she hung herself, but it looked like she hung herself. The son slit his own throat. The farmhand blew his brains out. So the only two that kind of died, well, the father is the only one who died naturally because the nurse, she killed herself with the needles. So the father looked like he died naturally, and then the daughter looked like she got taken by the devil.
Yeah, I would say yes, she did.
So I don't know, but yeah, who knows? If the father just up and died Tuesday or whatever, would have everything just stopped, or he just kept taking.
I think that's part of the thing too. Like the nurse hinted at, it's just wickedness comes and it just comes for whoever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you're evil, it's going to come for you. Because the son made sure and said, "My dad was a good man." Like, so it's not like he was this piece of shit guy. The son made sure to say that the dad was a good man. So I think the point of this is just like the wickedness of just
Shit.
even good people or undeserving people can get fucked over by unspeakable evil.
Yeah,
Like the innocent goats at any moment can be fucking killed by the wolves.
yeah,
So I,
but no, it was a good movie. Like I said, I forgot what scene off the top of my head, but there was a few that just kind of gave me chills and just watching it. Um, it's definitely a slow burn with the movie with what was going on. It wasn't any too over the top, and some of like the spook factors with like the mom creeping on the son when he was trying to go to sleep. Very subtle, but
yeah,
it was still spooky.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna obviously you'll know if it's for you or not. But my final take on it would be that what happened was that the windmill symbolized the presence of the devil, and not only that, it just what moves the windmill is the air, and the air is what was keeping the guy, the father, alive because he was on a breathing tube or whatever. And that also symbolizes that the air got into the him, the devil got into the dad. And it was twisted enough to where this family that was apart and estranged were brought together by this dying father and yet ripped apart by the devil. I guess he brought them together. He went inside the father. He was able to bring them together, and he was able to destroy everybody that came near, and like everybody, the nurse, the farmhand, the mom, the brother, the sister. And it was just the wickedness. Maybe the dark is death, and maybe the wicked is the devil. I don't know, but that's kind of like, I guess, probably to me, if I were to go with a thing of what happened in the movie would be.
I don't know. Yeah, I would have to kind of rewatch it to look for the windmill because I completely missed that as well. But it, I can see your point, especially like the air just having a major role in the movie, especially even just like the blowing the tripwire. It's like earlier in the movie with the goats. But it does seem like there's yeah
Yeah,
definitely that symbolism there.
yeah, and I guess like I was telling you earlier, like there's a lot of like, man, I know you're the same way, but man, I fucking love horror movies. Like I just love horror movies. And like this wasn't a masterpiece of a movie, but like I think it's worth like when you see somebody putting forth an effort, like, and I know a lot of people it's not going to be their thing because yeah, it's fucking boring. But like I appreciate shit like this, and like I don't know, I think it's like little low budget movies like this, they deserve attention too. Like I don't know, and not just like The Conjuring and what the hell was Don't Speak one, the
Oh, A
Quiet
Quiet
Place.
Place.
Yeah, like they don't have to be big time movies like these. And there's a lot of other movies that like I don't know, like the psychological ones are the ones that like interest me more, that are trying to do stuff instead of just their main goal is just to make money. Like I like the ones that try to do deeper shit.
Yeah. No, most definitely, especially yeah, especially with I guess horror movies where they can be franchise and before you know it there's like six, 10 movies and by then they've kind of just lost their way and yeah, like you said, they're just pretty much a cash cow money grab.
Yeah. So I was just gonna ask you, do you think the fate of the main characters, the brothers, the sister, do you think their fate was deserved, or do you think what they got was deserved, or did they earn that, or did they like was it deserved what happened to them?
I think for the brother, it was deserved just because again, off his just selfishness or self-preservation, he ditched the dad and sister just so he can look out for him and his family. I think more importantly, just for himself. Um, he kind of got what was coming to him, which inadvertently led to the demise of the sister. I mean, the dad he was dead either way, um,
Yeah,
but I think that's what led to the falling of the sister because I think she, despite all the craziness, she was trying. She was
yeah,
spooked. She was maybe it was a little too late, but she was trying to make the effort. She did have that moment to try and where she probably could have ran, but I don't know if it was yeah, guilt or just love or both, where she decided to tough it out with her father, which again led to her demise. But I think that's she didn't deserve it, but it was just kind of the circumstances.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think the like just because like the brother had a family too. I don't think it was deserved either. But I think that's the point of it too. Is just the random wickedness of it.
Yeah, because in uh in the end, it didn't take out his family, but in the end, they're still gonna be stuck with the death of the father slash possibly the breadwinner.
Yeah,
But so what about you? Is that your take on what the characters and if they deserved it or not?
yeah. I don't think they did. I think that was part of the point of it. Like maybe they could have redeemed themselves in other ways, but they didn't. I mean, they didn't deserve what happened. Obviously, I mean, but yeah, maybe they could have redeemed themselves a little bit better. But I think their fate wasn't deserved.
Yeah. Well, think you think this is a good wrapping up point?
Yeah, I mean, we always have the right to, if anybody else ends up watching this video has their own thoughts on it, or if we ever want to make a follow up, like we can, if we watch it again and get new stuff out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for anyone who's gonna watch this, um, deep dive discussion of The Dark and the Wicked. Let us know your thoughts of the movie if you've seen it or if it's piqued your interest or your thoughts if you think we got it all wrong or you kind of agree what we're saying. But this is our discussion. We'll probably be doing more of these once we find other movies to kind of talk about, watch, review, all that good stuff. But this will be a good stopping point right now, and stay tuned for more like this. I am Obsley 2003 here, joined with the one Augie the Froggy.
Hey,
So if you like this movie discussion and all our other antics here for like the Shoot Shit Saturday, Fallback Friday, only here at Odds and Ends Gaming, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But we're gonna wrap this up. Don't forget to settle down and stay safe out there.